What's up, guys? German Muscle here with another video, and this is, should you buy an e46 BMW? Well, ask yourself, do you want a fast car that looks good and that pulls bitches? Then look no further. Get yourself a BMW e46. If you're not afraid of a little work and getting your hands a little dirty, then I'd highly recommend getting one of these cars. So if you're not afraid of a little work and getting your hands dirty, then I'd highly suggest getting one of these cars. First thing you're going to want to have to do is the cooling system on these cars. They go bad at sometimes. This expansion tank right here, it cracks, leaks out antifreeze and all that. Could make your car overheat, blow the motor up. So first thing you should do is get an expansion tank and all the hoses that go to the cooling system and all that, and then you should be good. So the reason I say, if you're not afraid to get your hands a little dirty and put in a little bit of work on these cars, like I said, the cooling system on these cars are notorious for going bad. The expansion tank goes out, it'll crack, and you'll start leaking antifreeze and all that, and then take the chances of blowing your motor, and you don't want that. So first thing you should do when you get a car like this is inspect it really good, the suspension and all that. When I first got this car, the rear lower control arm on it was bent up pretty bad. It looks like someone picked it up with a forklift, and you know, it was a tough job because I never worked on one of these cars before. It took a few days to get it to get the control arm off, because the bolt on the wheel side was actually like infused with the bushing, and I ended up having to cut both of the rails in half, and then take a hammer and beat on the bushing itself. I ended up having to cut the whole entire control arm off of the bushing and then just beat the whole bushing out. Use a little bit of heat and all that. But I mean, it comes out. You have to move the rear diff over a little bit. You have to jack it up. You have to take some bolts out, jack it up, and then take a crowbar over, and then you'll be able to get the other bolt out. The other thing is the flex disc. It takes all the vibration out of the drive shaft, so when you're driving down the road, it's smooth like a Cadillac, and you don't have to worry about, you know, vibration or noises or anything like that. And those tend to go bad, so just get you some jack stands, and then go underneath there. You have to take the exhaust off. On these cars, it's a dual exhaust. You have dual headers on your car, and then there's two pipes that go all the way to the back into a muffler. But all you have to do is take the exhaust off from the headers and take all the hangers off, and then you'll have a heat shield in the way. You take that off, and then it'll expose the drive shaft. And on these cars, the flex disc and their center carrier bearing goes bad, so you have to take the drive shaft from the transmission and from the rear diff and take the whole entire drive shaft out, and then you can replace the guivos, the flex disc, and the center carrier bearing. You have to take the drive shaft completely apart. It's a two-piece. You take it completely apart, and then you can take the carrier bearing off and put the new one on. Then you have to put everything back together exactly how it came off, or you're going to have a woppy steering, or you're going to have a woppy drive shaft. The other thing is, you're going to have a sloppy shifter. I don't know if everybody else's car is like that, but I know mine is. And I haven't really figured out how to fix that yet, but this is just really sloppy. Mine, the guy for some reason took the original shifter off and the boot, which is pretty stupid in my opinion. I end up having to put this on just to make it look a little decent. And if you do have the 5-speed, I highly recommend getting one of these shift knobs. I got this off of eBay. It was like $12, and it works really good. You can screw it on, all that. It doesn't slip out of your hand or none of that. So I highly recommend one of these if you have the 5-speed. I'll put the link down in the description where I got this from. The other thing would be is the handbrake. When I got this car, the handbrake really didn't work that well. So every time you pull it up to, stop the car, to like park it or whatever, it'd really do nothing. So I'd have to put a big block or a rock behind the wheel just to get it to stop. Only thing you have to do is take off the rear wheels in the back, and you'll see like the hub. There'd be like a little hole right there on the hub, and you take a flathead in there and you'll spin up this little dial, and what that does, it expands the brake shoes and compresses it. So you want to spin it all the way up and then come in and then pull this up and then see if the wheels will spin. If they do, then you gotta spin it up a little bit more. But if they don't, then you should be good. That's what I had to do on mine. I gotta tweak with it a little bit more. It doesn't really work all that good. I mean, it stops now, but it needs a little bit more tweaking. The other thing is this A-pillar cover right here. I just, I recently got this car, but I've had like forums on Facebook of the groups and stuff for quite a while. I was going to get one of these cars in the future a long time ago, but I heard that these are notorious, like the plastic is notorious for snapping, and like if you hit a bump or whatever, it'll just fall down. But I mean, mine's missing. I'm gonna have to go and get one, either a brand new one or a junkyard. It really doesn't matter. But yeah, these things there's some remnants of the old one right here. It looks like it's held in by a hex. But yeah, that it really shouldn't be too hard to replace. Just take out the bolts. There's one right here too, and this whole piece should come out. And yeah, you'll be good. The other thing is the headliner on these cars. Mine sags real bad in the back, but I mean, it's nothing. My last vehicle I had, I ended up taking the whole entire bedliner or the headliner out, and I ended up redoing the whole entire thing with black leather, and it turned out pretty good. But I'm not really worried about it in this car because it's not really that bad. So, but it will be getting fixed in the future. I don't know if I'm going to get black leather like I did on my old vehicle to try and match with everything in here, because this is black on black. This whole entire car is black on black. And that's another thing I like about this car. Another thing that goes bad on these cars is, I think it's called the final stage resistor, and that is for your heat. This car, it's weird. So when you turn the heat on, it doesn't, like, there's no blower. Blower doesn't come on or none of that. You can just like hear like wind noises, but there's no heat unless you drive. When you're driving down the road, you can feel heat coming through. Same with the AC, and you can control it right here. So if you have this all the way down on the three red dots, that's for the heat. If you spin it all the way up, it goes on the AC. So when you're driving down the road, the AC comes in. But it's December, so. But yeah, the heat still works. You just have to drive down the road just to get the heat to come in. As you can see, my windshield is fogged up. So this is the heat. It's all the way turned up. It's all the way up. You can't really hear nothing until you're driving down the road. Then you can like hear the heat coming through the vents. But yeah, so the only thing you have to do is just, I haven't done it yet, but I've watched videos. You have to take the whole entire glove box completely out, and then there'd be like a little fuse looking like thing back there. You just take some screws out and then pull it out. It looks like a bunch of needles on it, and that's the final stage resistor. You just replace it, and then you'll have heat again. So the other thing that goes bad on these cars would be the speakers. They're like, there's a really tiny one right there, and then there's, I'll show you on the side, there's a big one down there in the corner, and then you got right there in the mirrors, and then you got some in the, oh never mind, there ain't none back here, but there's some on the back. And the ones up front, these ones don't work. I ended up having to get this whole entire door panel from the junkyard, because when I got this car, the entire door panel was missing, and the only thing that was there was the white thing that's behind the actual chrome door handle itself, and you had to pull it forward and then push the door just to get out. It was pretty stupid, but got the new one in. Everything works fine. Well, the mirrors, that doesn't work yet. Speakers are bad, but this is what it sounds like. I do have a system in here. It's two 12s. There's a Rockford Fosgate, and then there's a Punch, and they're really old, so they don't really sound that good. I don't have an amp hooked up yet, but this is what it sounds like. So it doesn't really sound that bad, but that's just the speakers that I have in the back. There's two behind the headrest, and then the two 10s or two 12s that I got back there. But all the other speakers, these two don't work, and those two, they're kind of working, but they're not really all that good. So I just have everything moved to the back, so it sounds a little bit better. But that's how it sounds with a system and a few working speakers. So this is another thing that goes bad on these cars. I'm not really sure what this noise is. I'm not sure if it's a bent rod, the vandals, whatever, you know. Some people on the forums are saying that it's the flywheel that's going bad, the clutch and all that. I priced one, it's $189 and some change. That's just for the cheapest one. The other one, you know, it varies 2 to 3 to, you know, all the way up to 500. But yeah, that, I mean, doesn't really affect the performance of the car. Like, you know, it's just a noise. But I'm not sure if it's a rod knock or if it is the transmission. So another cool thing about these cars is I'd have to say the sound, besides the rattling that you heard earlier, that it pretty much sounds good. Mine has a cold air intake on it. I put it on there just so you can hear the motor a little bit better, but I think it makes it worse because the little rattle sound. But the exhaust doesn't sound really too bad. I've heard a lot of BMWs, the e46 and e46s with exhaust on it, and some of them, they really sound like a Honda Civic. Like, it sounds like a lawnmower or weed eater or chainsaw or whatever. I don't really like that, so I think I'm going to keep mine stock unless, you know, there's a good one on the market that sounds good. But I'm just going to keep it stock for now just because I like the sound of it. It's quiet, minus the little chirping that you hear. But yeah, it's just going to stay quiet for now, the exhaust anyway. So another cool thing is about these cars is the dash lights. Pretty much just hold this button until that comes on. If I remember how to do that. Okay. And I think you go all the way up to 19. Let off. And then go to 2. yeah, that's pretty cool. At night, it's a little bit better how to turn the lights on, but yeah, that's pretty cool. It's just a gauge check. This right here for the mileage, it actually doesn't work, and I do have the headlight's not out. I just hooked up halos, so I hooked the halos up to the turn signal, so that's why it's not really getting a good connection, but I'm not really worried about it right now. So another cool thing about these cars is the center console. It was just rubber coated when I first got it, but it was all scratched up from the previous owner. If you can see, a little bit of scratches on that, but this was way worse. This is one cool thing. There's a little coin thing right here, quarters, dimes, nickels. This right here, it's broke. The previous owner did it. It's not really broke, the glue just came up. He taped it. But yeah, there's that. The ashtray is another cool thing. Mine is actually broke. It didn't have one when I first got it. I have a dog, so every time he gets in the car, he goes in the back seat, and then he tries to get in the front seat, steps on this, and it just breaks. It was broken when I got it, but what's cool about it is when it's sitting in here, this actually slides down and exposes the ashtray, and then slides back up. Looks really cool. Some cars will have like a armrest right here. Mine was supposed to have it, but you can order these little center consoles offline, fairly cheap, but most of them will come with an armrest. So this is like, it extends out to here, and then you'll have the armrest that comes up. So some situations, like you have the armrest and you leave it down, it'll push that down without breaking it. So that's pretty cool. But I carbon fiber wrapped mine because it was all scratched up. It's pretty dirty. I haven't really gotten the time to clean it all out, but that's another cool thing, that's right there instead of being up there. The locks, yeah. Then these right here, this you click it once and the whole window goes down, and if the door is closed, click it up once and the window goes back up. Another cool thing is, if you have the window down, you can like stop it right here, and then, so what's cool about the window is when you're rolling it up, if something's in the way, like your fingers, it detects it and then it goes back down. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people know that. Another cool thing is about the ashtray. So if you're a smoker and you're sitting in the back seat and you don't have a lighter, this right here is actually a lighter. Pull this up. That wire right there connects to the bottom of this, and stick your cigarette in there and it lights it up. I don't smoke, so I don't need it. So another cool thing about these cars, with it being a manual, if you're driving at night and you have your lights on, there's a little light right there, and what that does, it shines down on that, on your shifter, so you can look down and know which gear you're going in. Some people, if you drive a manual for a long time, you don't really need it. I don't really need it, but I still look down sometimes at it when I'm shifting. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool little feature. So if you do get one of these cars, you will eventually have lights popping up. You know, you'll have the headlights. These are for headlights and turn signals. You have the same light in the back if it's the tail lights. A lot of people are saying that the tail lights are notorious for going out on these cars. I don't know if this is wiring or if it's the bulbs itself, but yeah. And then the airbag light, or not the airbag light, but that's just for the seatbelt. Yeah, see. But the other one, the circle thing, I can't remember if that's for the brakes or for the tires. You do have wheel sensors in these cars, in the tires, to let you know which wheel is low on air. You have to just go and check all of them. I think, I don't know, mine don't have the sensors in them because I did get this from someone that already owned it. But yeah, if that's for the brakes, that just indicates that your brake pads are low, which is pretty cool. This car is like, for an '02, it's ahead of its time. If you do get an airbag light on, whoa, somebody just almost hit my car. God, just about hit my car. If you do have an airbag light on, I did have a video how to get that off. All anything you gotta do is take the fuse out. So yeah, if you do get the airbag light, only thing you have to do is, I already have a video on this on YouTube already, but there's 2 white tabs right there, and right there you just twist those. Your airbag, not your airbag, but your fuse box will pop down, and then you'll have like a little label telling you what everything is. Yeah, so just take out the number 10 fuse. I don't really recommend doing that if you feel uncomfortable with taking the fuse out. I've had it out for like a week or so, and I've only driven my car a few times since then, but I mean, I've had no problems. I do have recalls. BMW did send me some recalls about my airbags. That's because they need to be replaced. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but yeah, there is a recall on, I think it's both airbags, the one in the dash and the steering wheel, and there is another one that they said like a power line that goes underneath the car. I think that might have been already replaced because I got underneath there when I was fixing the control arm, and it's a blue wire. All the other ones are black, so I think that might have been fixed. But when I take it to BMW, they're going to fix everything anyway. So, and it's all free. So another cool thing about this car, there's a hideaway ashtray right here. Cigarette lighter. I don't really have mine in because it just pokes out, won't let you close that, and clean ashtray because I don't smoke. But yeah, that's pretty cool. When you have the lights on, I think there's a little light in there. Yeah, there's a little light in there. So that's pretty cool. Storage compartment. I usually keep my wallet in there. Yeah, it's a full-size wallet will fit in there. So don't mind that. That's previous owner stuff. So another cool thing about these cars, if you have the factory radio, I got my car with this radio in it. You can get these pieces online, or I don't know where the guy got them from, but when you have the original radio in, you can control the sound and all that, and Bluetooth call from the steering wheel. That's pretty cool. Cruise control. I've used cruise control once in this car. It works pretty good, but I'd rather, you know, it seems how it's a 5-speed, I'd rather just control it myself. Automatics are fun to have that on, but yeah, I'd rather just control this car myself. Some of these Beamers will have the heated, or the winter package, which is the heated mirrors and heated seats. Mine, unfortunately, doesn't have it, which I'm okay with because I'm not really going to be driving this car too much in the winter. Until I get new tires, I got to get a rear alignment for the car because when I did the control arm, I didn't really get the alignment done on it, so that's another reason why the tires are pretty messed up in the back, as you can see on the previous video. So yeah, I don't really, when the way my car is now, if I'm driving even in the rain, like the rear of my car will fishtail, and that's, you know, not really cool when you're trying to drive. So yeah. Another thing that goes bad on these cars is the windows. I've said it in a previous video, but the window, I was rolling it down one day. They all 4 of them worked, including the sunroof. It was a hot day. I went to go roll down the window, and I guess the heat and like the rubber just stuck to the window. So when I went to roll it down, it ended up messing up the motor. So I really like when I go to lock my doors. Seems how the buttons on it don't work. So when I go to lock my doors, the window comes down a little bit, and I just have to come in here, turn the car on a little bit, and roll the window down, and then pull it up. And that metal thing right there, it actually goes to the intake. But I just got that in there wedged against the window and the door so to hold the window up. This window tint will be getting replaced soon. Previous owner didn't do a really good job at it, and with that, the window being messed up, it messed the tint up. So yeah, I think the key on these cars are pretty cool. When I first got this car, I'm guessing the battery was dead in this in the key, so the guy ended up cutting it in half and then duct taping it, and it was duct taped like up to here. It was pretty terrible. So when I got the car, I just took all that off and super glued this together, and then I carbon fiber wrapped it. I didn't do a really good job. Just started carbon fiber wrapping when I did this. So I figured I might as well just go ahead and do this right here just to make it look a little bit better. Didn't come out too bad, but the battery doesn't work, so I gotta manually lock the doors. But yeah, and the chip inside here, if it's hanging down, like if your key's broke and the chip is hanging down, your car won't start. You have to put everything back together like how it is and then start your car. Don't ask me how. Another cool thing about this car, other people might not think it's cool. I think it's, kind of cool. Glove box, when you go to open it, it comes down slow. I just thought that was pretty cool. So another cool thing about this car, the sunroof is just like their windows. So when you're closing it and something's in the way, oh, I guess not.